Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome back to the show. Last week we had Samantha Hartley on the line. Love that name because that's my wife's name, by the way, Samantha. But she's a coach, and she coached from the perspective of joy. And I just think we need more joy in our life and more like-minded people that believe in that and bring that to their business life. And today I've got a fun guest on the line. And the reason why I say fun is because when I read everybody's bio that's sent my way, by the way, and there was a lot of things that stood out. But what really stood out to me, and this is why I brought up my wife, Samantha, says Tim is madly in love with his hot wife, Sandy, and his 4 above-average children. He's a wicked harmonica player, but Tim loves also reading, playing tennis, and this is the best part, chasing his wife around beautiful resorts. So, Tim Redmond, welcome to the show.
Yes, it's great to be here. This is awesome. I love the whole theme that you've got of getting to yes and towards the opportunities and the adventures that life brings you. So I'm excited to talk with you here.
Well, I spend a lot of time chasing my hot wife around too, so that resonated with me.
Come on now. This will work all day.
I love it. Well, Tim, I appreciate what you stand for. And by the way, I saw in your bio also that you run a nonprofit, Redmond Leadership Institute, that trains pastors and business leaders. Have you read The Gospel Patrons?
Yeah, I read that a while ago. Love it, love it, love it. And one of my callings from the nonprofit is to awaken those kind of people and help them develop their enterprises where they can fund good causes and gospel causes like that. So I am all about that. I love that book.
Well, short little side turn here, but this book was sent to me. I started reading it last night. I was unaware of it. Brent Widen sent it to me, who is the co-founder of Bible Bells, which is books for kids, and he lives up here in Montana near me. And Bible Bells has had a ton of success. I think they've printed over 20 million books in the last few years. So it was great to meet Brent, and even better to start reading this book. I'm glad you're a fan of it. A little bit more insight there. But I love what you're.
Which by the way, our ministry, Redmond Leadership Institute, the primary activity we're involved in now is we've got a whole curriculum called The Power to Create, but I've got a whole training curriculum, and we're in 119 prisons training people in the principles of productivity. And that's how it's, promoted here. And so I'm getting letters a lot from prisoners that are ready to get out, and it's helped change the way they think. So
I love that.
That's my love. So
I love that, and I appreciate that. And if you're listening, pick up The Gospel Patrons. I can already tell you from chapter 1 and part of 2, it's worth reading and having a good understanding of what Gospel Patrons is. And just to give you a quick glimpse, the first story talks about in the early 1500s how a wealthy businessman helped fund the translation of the Bible from Latin to English so the rest of the world could actually understand what was being said. And we don't even think about those things. Somebody had to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Bring it from the Vulgate to the English language as it was, and then even the power behind the powerhouse preacher George Whitefield, and just that's a phenomenal book. So I highly 2 thumbs up here from Tim and Tim.
Right on. Well, there's a little commercial break right there. So Tim, I want to get into your consulting and the value that you bring to your clients because they're really important topics. But can you give us some background on yourself, maybe what you did before you became a consultant and what some of that foundational work looked like?
Yeah, I survived a family of 11 children.
Mm.
My mom and dad either love sex or love having babies or both. I don't know, but I learned a lot about life skills from an early age in that regard. I graduated in accounting, became a CPA for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I always wanted to do entrepreneur stuff. I joined in with a software company that was at the ground level. The founder and myself, we grew it up, both CPAs, we grew it up, sold it to Intuit. I spent about 10 years doing ministry work to a nonprofit, which we targeted leaders in churches, pastors, business leaders, and political leaders. And we spoke into a lot of events there, just helping them think through and growing their organizations, growing themselves. And I got into coaching just because I would do like growth seminars, how to grow your organization. And people afterward would come up to me and said, "Hey, do you offer coaching?" I go, "Sure. What's your question?" And I dive into, sometimes I spend an hour with them coaching, not realizing that there's some companies out there that are multi-million-dollar coaching organizations. So
Right.
I told my wife, no more travel. I'm just gonna do this coaching here. We'll travel because we want to travel, and she loves when I chase her around fancy exotic resorts. And so she's into that type of game. And so anyway, that's how I got into the coaching here anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing. I fell into it as well. I launched my first podcast telling my personal story, and received 3 calls the day after it aired saying, "Hey, can you help me with this? Sounds like you went through something similar."
I love it.
You know,
Yeah.
and like you just dive right in. And a couple weeks later, I was talking to my coach at the time, David Meltzer. I said, "Dave, these guys been calling me." He goes, "Well, Jim, that's what consulting looks like. Maybe you should start a consulting business." I thought, "Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
intuitive of you, Dave."
Answer the door. Say yes to the door that's knocking.
That's
Right.
right. It was wide open. And by the way, it's a lot of blessings for me, because this was well before COVID, and I knew that I wanted to spend more time with my kids, who at this time are 6 and 8, and
Right.
it's really given me the life that I'd mapped out to have, and so being able to say yes to that. But what I'd like you to cover, because I think this is an
Please.
important extension of this, is people make costly mistakes in business and in life, right? And you talk about in some of your speaking how to avoid those mistakes. I always say, and I got this from Dave, I paid the dummy tax so you don't have to. But oftentimes, I don't often talk about those mistakes, but can you give us some of those common mistakes that people are making
Yeah.
that they really need to get through?
Yeah. So I, my sole focus, I got one eye in the middle of my forehead here, focused on business owners,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs that really want to grow their organization. And through their organization, it becomes a vehicle for them to really live their purpose. And from, if you're sharing my faith, your God-given purpose, but not to shove that down anybody's throat. So, I find that most entrepreneurs, they want to start a business, and sometimes it's out of a hobby, or sometimes it's out of a need that they stumble into. They're like Mr. Magoo walking around, they stumble into this opportunity, and they begin to build this thing, and then they want to expand it beyond a hobby. And the first thing that I would say, the first mistake is we try to be too many. We try to answer the needs of too many people with too many different needs. And I like to say this here, Jim, is that you can widen your reach by narrowing your focus. A big mistake here is we try to widen our reach to be the answer to everything that comes through the door. And my coaching really took off when I focused on primarily healthcare professionals, doctors, urgent care clinics, that kind of thing, and contractors, home builders, electricians, plumbers, that kind of, service-based businesses. And we've helped retail, manufacture, online, offline. We help all kinds of businesses, because really all businesses are about 98% the same. And so our system, the system I've developed here, is very, very effective and get results. But as I narrowed my focus, I widened my reach, and we began to grow exponentially at that point. So, we don't be afraid of narrowing your focus and being the best at the world at meeting this need.
Yeah.
And so that's a mistake. And I can go on and on. You want me to cover a few of them here?
Well, I know that you also talk about what successful entrepreneurs do that struggling entrepreneurs don't, or they ignore. And you're landing on some great points there, because I grew up in the food and beverage industry, right? I hardly do any consulting there. I probably would crush it, but I haven't really narrowed my own focus down to that, right? I mean, I worked for In-N-Out Burger for 12 years, which, everybody knows In-N-Out around the world.
I love In-N-Out Burger.
There you go, right?
I worship that place. My wife is in California this week, and so it's a rough week with me. And but she one of the first things she did was pop in an In-N-Out Burger.
God bless her.
Boom.
So yes, please carry on with some of these things that people struggle with, or what they're not paying attention to.
Yeah. So all right. So what is it you're offering, and then what is your target market? And then another thing here is really taking time to develop the purple cow of your business. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? It's based on Seth Godin's book, Purple Cow, he wrote 20 years ago. But the same thing applies here that he talked about in the opening of his book. If his kids were in the back and they were passing these farms, look at the cows, look at the cars, Daddy, and they did that for about 4 farms. The 5th farm, they're like, Seth is like, well, what about those cows? And we've already seen them, these black and brown and white cows. But if there's a bright, shiny purple cow out there, they'd still be talking about it 20 years later. So what I find is 3 words here that really can help out, Jim. And this will make people a lot of money. It's kind of in the negative, but if they'll listen to it, and I'm talking to you business owners, casualness causes casualties. Casualness causes casualties. And so don't be casual about what you are obsessed, what problems you're obsessed about solving, and what kind of people and what kind of problems do you love to rescue and be the heroic person that shows up in the white horse and the Cape Crusade. So it's taking the time to be that purple cow. Like I was working with one plumber right here in town, and he's grown his business. He's tripled, quadrupled his business since he's been working with us. But early on, I remember him pulling in with his truck, with his van, and says, "We wear belts." And I go, "Well, what do you mean we wear belts?" He goes, "Well, plumbers are famous for showing their butt cracks." And so as we work through it, we have this process. It's like a step up from a brochure. It's called the one sheet that we do. And so we define, well, what do we offer that the competitors don't? And one of the things we offered was a no butt crack guarantee. We think, well, what? That's stupid, But people would be laughing on the phone, calling, says, "Is this the no butt crack guarantee plumber?" Yes.
I love it.
We promise you no butt crack viewage. And so, he grew his business with that. That's a purple cow. So sometimes it's hiding in plain sight right under your nose, but don't diminish that small beginning. Don't diminish that distinguishing characteristic that you think, well, everybody offers that. Well, they probably don't. And so don't be afraid of really taking time to differentiate that.
Yeah. That's great advice. You kind of mentioned about your faith a little bit, and I'm a huge believer. I want to be right up front with my faith and what I stand for, because I think that those people that resonate with me, they're going to be with me for a long time, right?
Okay.
And the ones that I'm faking it for, when they find out, oh, I'm different than him, maybe I lose them. But you talk about leading from the heart and creating huge results for you and your team. And to me, promoting my faith and who I am is leading from the heart, because that is my heart, right? So I'd love to hear your take on leading from the heart and how you integrate that into your business.
Yeah. So, I've got a lot of little one-liners. I've got over 100 definitions of leadership, and I take from other people too. Max Dupree, uh, from the Herman Furniture Company, he said, "Leaders define reality," right? And so, it's like, if you're going to define reality, then you're taking your inside world and you're acting on the outside world, right? And so you need to be stronger on the inside than what quote reality is on the outside, because you superimpose your will. You become, like George Bernard Shaw talked about, being the unreasonable man. The Irish playwright said, the unreasonable man does not adapt himself to the world, but he expects and demands that the world adapts itself to him. And so to begin to lead from the heart, you've got to learn to first go inward before you go outward.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the no jab rule. You can't justify yourself. You can't advise people without them asking. You can't blame people. If you're going to act upon a situation to improve it, you can't come from a victim mindset. You've got to come from a creative mindset. In the beginning, God did the thing he loves to do most, and he created us in his image for the main purpose of doing the first thing he did, which was what? The first verb in the Bible is, in the beginning, God, what?
Created.
So when we're not creating, we're living short of our purpose, and there's frustration and skepticism, and the nth degree of nihilism and hedonism. All these isms come in there to mess us up and to keep us from living a life of intentionality and focus and purpose. And so you got to go inward before you go outward. You got to come from a place of abundance to export that out. If you're coming from a place of scarcity, that I'm not enough, there's not enough, and you're going to export that scarcity, and that compounds problems. It doesn't create the salve or the oil or the added healing that's needed to bring correctness, to correction and alignment with that situation. Leaders make situations better. I mean, it's kind of an obnoxious, arrogant point of view that I'm here to make this situation better. But we don't start standing tall and arrogant. We come in on our hands and knees, ready to looking for the problem, ready to serve. And so those are some of the concepts that we talk about. Does that help out? Or I can go way down deep in that rabbit hole if you want.
Well, Tim, look, I'm sure you've heard this a couple times. That all sounds great, but my story's different, right? Your client said, Tim, that sounds great, but my story's different. How can you help me? How do we get people to understand that these principles apply across the board? They just need to believe in them. How do we get them to believe in them?
If you don't take personal responsibility, you can't help other people take responsibility. And so leadership is inspiring people to own their stuff, to get stuff done. And leadership doesn't just tell the way, it shows the way. It's not so different that what part of your life do you need to take personal responsibility that you've been running away from? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. And so, what aspect of your life are the people around you starving for the leadership on the inside of you to come out, to show the way and not just tell the way?
Yeah.
And we've got to be the change that we're seeking. I mean, Gandhi said that, and it's still true today. It's if you think your situation's so different, that's fine. But if that is a justification to keep you in a victimized place, a victimized state of mind, yes, your pain is loud. Yes, it was unforgivable. And how can you stand up when life's trying to make you sit down and subject yourself to live a subjective life instead of an imperative life, instead of a life of intentionality? So I would challenge anybody that what's going to be better to solve a problem coming from a place where you take personal responsibility, you go inward first, and then you go outward from a place where you own your own life and you own your own results, and you, of course, you submit it to God, you surrender it to God, but you're not blaming other people, you're not justifying yourself, you're not living from that point, you're living from a place of contribution, not demanding servanthood and service from people.
Tim, I'd love to hear your advice for those business leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, etc., or managers that are struggling with the lack of good employees and help right now. And the reason why I know what my opinion is, I know what I've said on my shows before, but I drive through town. We'll use In-N-Out as an example, right? In-N-Out has a line out the door, not only of customers, but they have a line out the door of people wanting to work there, right? And to me, they have the answer. But what do you tell people? It says I can't find any workers.
Well, first of all, again, back to the theme of first going inward. What one of the primary duties of a leader is to create an environment, because
Yes.
people react like seeds in the ground. People react to their environment. They grow or they shut down. And so I like to say first the environment, then their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Their behavior is horrible. Well, what are they reacting to? Because that's where most people live. And most of us leaders have blind sides to us. That's where people hire you to be their coach. There's 150 business owners right now that rely on us on a weekly basis just to help them see what they can't see on their own. And so I would say, first of all, how contagious are you? How copyable? If everybody had your behavior and your attitude in your business and towards your business, would your business grow or would it shrink?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're going to attract great people, because leaders, really people, but leaders especially, they don't attract what they want, they attract who they are, right? I'm sure you've said that in so many words. And so you have to come in with enthusiasm. You have to set a standard for yourself. And then many people have not had a good role model, authority model for them to act out. So people need to be trained. I mean, I've got superstar coaches that started out. One guy, he's one of our top producers here, coaches. He came to me on 3 occasions. Jim, this is not a lie. He came to me 3 occasions, says, "You've got to fire me. I messed up so bad." And he used a stronger word than messed up. And I go, well, at this point, I've got too much invested in you, and I see God's design on the inside that hadn't fully been activated yet, and so we're working like crazy to activate that. Well, he's just a superstar now,
I love it.
and so you don't just find good employees, although I really believe that you hire for attitude and you train for skill.
Yep.
You don't necessarily do the opposite, where you hire for skill and train for attitude. Those it's harder. That's the cart and the horse, and you're putting the cart before the horse on that. So that's one thing. Another thing here is you've got to have a vision that's compelling, a vision that goes beyond just taking great vacations. They say the love of money is the root of all evil, but I like to say money is the root of all great vacations. So, but you gotta have a cause that's greater than that. For
Yeah.
me and my company, my coaches, I'm paying them well. It's like 90% of their pay is on actual performance they do, and which is the right way to train people. And then as we go into phase two of this, we're going to continue to grow our coaching other businesses, but I'm in the process and pursuing businesses to buy that we coach. And because of their faithfulness, I'm going to get them incented in those businesses that I buy. And that's going to be their way of becoming a millionaire if they stick around long enough.
Mm.
And so that's a vision that's beyond me. It includes them. I'm building things for training leaders and training and helping to restore broken leaders. We've all been broken at some time. And so, that they're part of that, that they're touching 119 prisons right now. They may not think about that, but they know that that's true. And so, you gotta have a compelling vision as well. You got to be compelling, and you can't be like this and like, hey, I'm looking for motivated people.
Yeah.
You gotta sit up straight, and you gotta be that,
Yeah.
because you're gonna attract the sluggards, and you're gonna run away good people with that. So, anyways, is that helpful?
You know what? It's more than helpful. And I'm sitting here listening to you, and I asked that question because it's one of the bigger complaints we hear in society right now is I can't find employees, and businesses are closing down, or their hours are shortened, or their days of the week that they're open are shortened. And I was just thinking of there's a couple of local they're national fast food chains that are here in my small town of Montana, and every time I go by there, and it's not really somewhere I frequent, but I go by there and they're either closed or there's a line of cars down the road and there's a sign that says we're short of staff. And I'm thinking, what advice would I give them? Because these people are severely lacking. And I'm listening to you talk. If you could go to those two owners and say two things that you just said, how contagious are you? And what is your compelling vision? Everything in those businesses would change. Because
good.
Being contagious, right? For other people to follow. There's other places in town, I know you've seen this too, there's other places in town, they don't have a staffing shortage. But when you look at the business they're running, those are the types of places you frequent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's the leader's job is to create an environment for people to flourish.
Yeah.
And so people want to go where they're celebrated, not where they're tolerated, and so if you had somebody else love you the way you love your employees, would you love being with them?
Mm-hmm.
The kind of people that people want to hang out with is they really, really like people who like them. So not just tolerate them.
Go figure, right? Well, Tim, I've noticed I've been doing this a lot lately on my show as I get in this really great conversation with my guest, and it's almost cliffhanger-ish as far as where the stories could go and the conversation go and the wisdom can go. And I cut it off because, we've almost hit 30 minutes. Not that I keep exact track of time. But what's great about that is I want people to go to your website, learn more about you, what you do, read your books, listen to your shows, your interviews, etc. Where can they find you at? And I'll put that also in the show notes.
Yeah. So Redmond Growth, so REDMOND, like where Microsoft is based, Redmond Growth, GROWTH.com. They can email me directly, Tim@Redmond Growth. And let me just tell you this here, Jeff, for those that have a business and they want a different view of it, we offer a growth plan where we bring them through a model of where they are versus where their capacity is. It's a phenomenal process. And then we bring them through where they are versus where they want to be in 3 years. And based on a number of different things they give us, we actually build a growth path to get to that 3-year goal. And that process usually takes us it usually costs $2,500. But if they'll identify themselves as with your show here, we waive that $2,500 fee.
Awesome.
And it's a 2-step process, but we'd love to be able to bring them through that growth plan. If they email me or they go to the website, hey, I was on Jeff's show, just somehow tie into your thing, maybe give me a 5-star review, boom. Then we'll waive that fee, and they'll love the process. They'll love it, love it, love it. I mean, they'll look at their business with a whole new set of eyes. It's no matter what the business is.
Well, I appreciate your words of wisdom, your generosity on the course, because we all need coaches. We all need help. We just have to be
Yes.
strong enough to ask for it, because there's people like us that want to give you the help. We've been there, right? Like I said, we paid the dummy tax. So please reach out to Tim. You've heard part of his story, a little bit of a cliffhanger to ask for more. He's got it for you. So I'll put all this information in the show notes. So Tim, thank you so much for being on the show today.
All right. Been great, Jim. Been really good.
Thank you for listening to today's show. It is my pleasure and honor to interview all of the guests that have been on the Answer is Yes podcast. If you have enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and subscribe, give a rating, or simply tell a friend about the show. We also believe in the message of our guests and the positive influence of their stories. As my own mentor and coach, David Meltzer, has taught me, spend some time every day thinking and writing about the things in your own life that you have more than enough of. You will find out how blessed we really are. Please visit my website, livelifedriven.com, for the latest updates about me and what I'm doing. Plus, I post a monthly blog about the many topics on this show. This podcast can also be found there. As I learned early on in life, what you believe is what you will achieve. Thanks, Mark Victor Hansen, and thank you, and have a great week.